Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. What do you know about the Encores series at the City Center? I know a lot about it because it's one of the greatest showcases for shows, old shows that they bring back that I've ever seen. Strike Up the Band was the most recent one. I had the pleasure of seeing it. And shortly after I saw it, Audrey Ross told me that there was a terrific education program that goes along with it. I wasn't aware of it at all. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Encores. We're going to talk about other things that are going on at the City Center. And my guest today, I'm happy to say, is Jannas Zelesky, who is the Outreach Education Director. It's an ambitious program, Jannas. I'm so glad you could come here today. So let's talk about it. What is the mission? What is the thrust? Why is the City Center doing this outreach program to youngsters?
Well, what City Center believes I would say from the very beginning, the mission of City Center is always to have an education part of everything that it does, and that is actually written into our mission. And with Encores, when they were thinking, when it was in the incubation stage, when it was being conceived, I was able to go on the ground floor, so to speak, and develop the educational components to go along with so that the students who we work with could really feel that they understood from the very bottom up everything, all the pieces that go into making a musical, and also everything that we did with each individual musical in relationship to Encores.
Yeah, let's talk about Encores. I'm sure there are people who don't know what Encores, because really each of the productions has a fairly short life. Let's talk about what is Encores.
Well, Encores is taking musicals that have had a season in New York way back and putting it back on the stage, but looking at the audiences from the audience perspective, that they can hear the lushness of the music. So it's highlighting the music that was in the scores and the vocal that was in the actual production itself. And we try as much as possible to go to the original. So that with Strike Up the Band, there were actually two versions of Strike Up the Band, which was a very difficult way of looking at it.
But with Strike Up the Band, it's done in concert. The orchestra's on the stage. The performers, in most cases, and most of the Encores presentations, are well-known performers who are able to do this, because the shows are only done how many times?
It's the window of opportunity that they actually work is exactly 2 weeks. So it's a week of solid rehearsals up until the night of the dress rehearsal, which is Wednesday night.
And the performances are how many days?
Only Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Only 4 performances?
No, it's actually 6 performances.
6 performances.
Right.
Of course, most notable presently is Chicago, which is on Broadway,
Right.
which started as Encores and is done pretty much in the same format. It's not a fully staged production on Broadway, and yet it is so alive.
Right.
And of course, it's actually a full replication of what was done at the City Center, isn't it?
It is.
The same performers, the same stars, everybody is the same. And it's just great. It's one of those great opportunities. If people don't know about it, it's one of the secret treasures of New York.
It is. That's true. I think so, too.
Now, how does this all relate to the education program? What is the education program that goes along with it?
Well, we have an educational program that works on the junior high school level and on the high school level with New York City Public Schools. And we're working with 12 classes and 4 classes per show. And what they actually do is they get into and put on, in their own way, their entire production. The teachers come in November. The process starts in November with the classroom teachers who work with them. So it could be a vocal teacher, it could be a social studies teacher, it's where that actual teacher had an interest, if they had an interest in musical theater. So it's 12 actual classes that come in November, classroom teachers that come in November and work with us and learn all of the 3 shows. Then they choose one of those 3 shows and they work with their students on one of those shows.
Each of them, so actually the program covers all 3 of the shows that you're doing, but each of the teachers decide to take one of those shows.
Right. So each show only works with 4 classes. And the reason being is that basically we don't have the seats in the theater to bring in additional people. We work with the students actually learn that particular show.
Now, are these performing students, do they have talent? Are we dealing with students who will be performing?
Not, you mean as a career?
Not as a career, but are they singing in the chorale? Or
some are singing in their individual choruses in school. Some are theater class in their own school. In one very interesting case, it's an extra teacher who is like a resource person in that school. She just happens to have a passion for musical theater. She'll do it as a pull-out program, and the students will stay after. In some cases, it's the instrumental teacher who works alongside. So in that case, we'll have a whole group for Strike Up the Band. They brought their instruments in.
Oh, they did. So what happens? What's going on with these students, and how does it culminate?
Well, it starts in November with the teachers coming in, and at the same time, simultaneously, we are having workshops with our intern program, in that we work with Tisch School of the Arts and Columbia, both graduate programs, and so we have about 25 graduate student interns that also go into the classrooms along with our teaching artist teams. So we have a director, a musical composer, and we have a choreographer. So our actual teaching team is made up of 3 people. And then the classroom teachers work with the students from November until whenever the show goes up. Just before the show actually comes up, our teaching team, these 3 people, along with 2 interns, go into the schools and work with the students.
To do what?
They work a little bit more on that particular show that they're working on. And the show is broken down per the 4 classes. Each class learns 1 song. And they then can create a dance around that song, and they also can do the dialogue around that song. So it's either the preceding scene or the scene that follows.
And it culminates with performance?
It culminates with a performance with all 4 classes coming to City Center and in the studio while our Encores people are rehearsing on stage. They are rehearsing in the studio. And so the 4 classes is about 160 youngsters. All walk through the entire show. And then they learn all together another piece of that whole. And in many instances, they'll write on the spot, they'll write their version of it. Because our composers and our lyricists, graduate students, are just that, so can turn their words.
Do they get to see the show?
Then they go out to dinner. They go out to dinner, and then they come back and see the invited dress rehearsal.
They do see it.
Yes. And then, of course,
it's quite an experience for them.
Well, this is only a piece of it. Then they will go back to their school. Well, of course, they'll compare themselves to the performing, the artists themselves, but then they'll go back and they'll do it within their spring performances in their schools.
Oh, they do it at the schools as well. Has this worked in any special way? What has been the result of all of this? You've done this now for,
This is about 5 years.
5 years?
I think it really is building up. It's interesting. You have our City Center Chronicle.
Yes.
One youngster last year was a very interesting story of a youngster on the junior high school level who was actually kicked out of one school and because he was a discipline problem, and went to another school. and he got into music, and he wrote this wonderful lyrics along with, and then of course our intern composers took what he wrote and then put it to music, so that the entire class sang the song that he actually composed for the entire group.
I just think it's remarkable, and of course there's a real purpose behind this, and that is, of course, to awaken the youngsters to the fact that the arts are a wonderful place, a wonderful thing, something they should be interested in. And as we've discussed on this program many, many times, the fact that the theater and the arts have to build audiences, the aging audiences, the changing audiences, and young people, for some reason, are not going to the theater as much as they should. And really, you're starting right here at the grassroots and educating these youngsters and making them participate and feel part of the whole.
They do feel a part of the whole, and they also feel... we believe very strongly is that the youngster understands the process that the creator of the work went through. Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand what that process is. You talk about the time of putting these shows together and the rehearsal process, and some shows have very long rehearsal time, some have very short rehearsal time, but it is a process.
Yes, it is a process, but I wanted to step further back. The process of the creators that made the work itself. And you want to always go to the very beginning and have the youngster, or whoever you're working with, get in on the ground level of the creation of the work. So, for example, with Strike Up the Band, which it talks about, the whole show is about a war. It's very relevant to our day. Now it's a timeless piece. The youngsters could experience and understand that war can happen over something as silly as Swiss cheese.
Right.
It can relate to, then they can then put into, can we use the pen and pencil and voice to express ourselves as opposed to fighting on the street or doing something else. It's a vehicle of expressing social issues of the day, and that's a very, very important factor.
I do want to get in a little more into encores, and I don't want to give the impression that people just stand in front of a microphone. But first, I do want to remind our viewers that we're talking today about the education program which is going on at the City Center in connection with encores, and also with a dance program, which we'll get into a little further on into the program. And my guest today is Jannas Zelesky, who is the director of the Outreach Education Program at the City Center. Encores, of course, Strike Up the Band is now history, and the next show that's coming up is The Labner, which is March 26th to 29th, and of course they'll be seeing the dress rehearsal on the 25th. Right. Is that correct? And
they'll be seeing the dress rehearsal on the 25th. Correct.
And that's followed by the third show, which is St. Louis Woman.
Right.
Right. And that runs April 30th to May 3rd. And, of course, they're seeing it on April 29th, which is the day before. I don't want to give the false impression that people stand up in front of a microphone as in a concert and just sing, because although it's not fully staged with scenery, it is staged, and it's full of movement and activity, and dance. Encores is really a production. And why are they so popular?
I think it's because it's true to the works itself. It honors the works, and it honors the creators of the works. And it's very true. Respect is a very important word. They are very respectful of the creators, and they honor them very greatly. And I think that's very true within our educational work that we do. I think one of the things that I want our youngsters to learn is respect put back into our vocabulary, instead of being absolutely not in our vocabulary of beingness. And when they see the artistic teams that they are being respectful of each other, and how one has to work and collaborate together to create a work that goes on the stage. Musical theater is all about collaborations.
Yes.
You can't have a collaboration without respect. And that is a very, very important thing to learn, and something that we don't seem to have in our society today. So it's really more. City Center was created, brought back by LaGuardia to be a theater for the people. And I think the educational work and Encores, which is is produced by City Center, is all tied into that. In that it is, again, respect of work, respect of people.
But something else is going on. Terrific entertainment.
Absolutely.
And with all that background that you're giving, I think that's important. And I think it shows. And the people come and flock to Encores, and I know they sell out far in advance. And the reason is, I think, that it's terrific entertainment.
Oh, well, thank you. I think it is too.
What's happening is that the heart, and the soul, which you're describing, is shown by the performance. And that's what makes them so great. There's another aspect to what you do, and that's the Young People's Dance Series. And we should get into that because that's still different. This is not performing in the sense. Let's talk about the dance series. How does that work?
Well, let me backtrack. All of our educational programs have 4 major parts to it, and in varying degrees, in percentages of how it impacts upon the program we make. One is that all of the participants, whether they're a teacher or an adult or a grandfather bringing a child or a student, should have an intellectual understanding of whatever they're going to then see. 2, they have to physically experience the work. So by physically experiencing it, they should feel, in the case of dance, a student can feel after they've seen Twyla Tharp that they could write to Twyla and suggest a move because they have really physicalized Twyla's thinking. 3, they have to visually see it. And that is, they come to City Center and they visually experience the work on the stage from an audience perspective. And then 4, they must critically analyze it. They must take it back to self, not only as a viewer and pulling it apart, but as the creation of that work. How does it impact me as a creator?
So how is that done? There's some terms that I've seen used that the program develops: critical thinking, observation, concentration, discipline, expression of personal opinion.
Right.
I thought those were very, very interesting terms. So these are not people who are going to perform, but it's their approach to this creation that I think is the most important. It lets them think about it deeply.
Right. They don't have to enjoy what they see, but they have to have interpolated it and made it personal for themselves and be able to put it on paper what they think about it.
You talked about the City Center Chronicle, which you brought along here, and this is an annual paper, newsletter that you put out, Young People's Dance and Theater News. And I think it's very interesting, a spotlight on educators, on teachers, and art education. But you know what I thought was most interesting in this? And that is by going through it and reading, because here you have some of the things that kids have written and drawn. There's a lot of talent out there, isn't there?
It's a tremendous amount. I think if you give anybody a chance, you just don't know what the world can come out of them. And you just need, as a parent, you can't tell somebody to do something. You can lay it out and let them sample it and let them come out and decide what they want. But every human being has a creative side. Basically, it's stroking the creative side and letting youngsters and oldsters, education, you never stop learning, the wonders of the arts, and there are it's just endless.
Do you have any surprises as you've been doing this now for 10 years? Are you surprised by the reactions of some of the kids when they go there? Do they emerge in a way that you never thought possible?
They come back year after year.
Same?
It's not necessarily the same. Some who have been touched by it come back and let us know or join in, and we send them regular mailings on what else they could see at City Center. Surprises. The joys, like for encores, the joys were a young boy had just arrived from China at the school, and he couldn't speak a word of English last year. Last year or the year before. I'm losing sight of time. Yet he could play the piano. So what happened to this youngster was he played the piano with the encore songs, and all of a sudden he was a team player at that school. So he felt a part of that school. No, he didn't speak the language. You don't need to speak the language.
Certainly with music, you don't have to. It's a
And
universal language.
Well, all of the arts are in some way, shape, or form. It transcends all kinds of language barriers, and that's what's wonderful about it. Dance is our first language.
What is the scope of this program? It's a New York City school system, but you're expanding. You were mentioning to me something about...
Well, within our Encores program, we do reach on the tri-state area college and university students because we have a dialogue program with them, and then they too see the invited dress rehearsal. We have a dialogue with, like last for Strike Up the Band, we had wonderful Gershwin people, so it was really very, very exciting. And then we're going forward with, we are now, it has been officially announced, so I'm allowed to talk about it, that Stratford will be coming annually to City Center. It's a joint venture between Stratford and City Center, so it'll be Stratford at City Center. And this November, we will have Much Ado About Nothing and Moliere's The Misers at City Center. So we will look for that on the tri-state area.
Now, will that be part of your education program as well?
But I will be looking to develop theater programs with educators on the tri-state area.
So this will be another phase, musical theater and dance, and now theater.
So we're actually, we are working today. I actually did today. I think what I decided, I want to say the 1st and 2nd of September, we have scheduled a workshop for teachers in how to use Shakespeare in the classroom. And then when they come to that, and of course it will be very specifically Much Ado About Nothing, which can be used on the high school curriculum level. So we try to fold in as much as possible. So if there's a school in Yonkers, if there's a teacher in Yonkers, or any of your listeners,
Westchester
it would be great. Absolutely.
Tell me about how many students you've had in the program since you started this.
Well, we usually work with about 10,000 students a year.
10,000 a year. So that's a formidable number.
Yes, but all in varying degrees. We have long-range programming where we place teaching artists in schools 1 day a week for them to get a deeper experience of coming to the Young People's Dance Series or coming to Encores. And I think what makes City Center's programs unique, just like a musical of Encores, is a collaborative effort between all the creative forces to put something up on the stage. So too are all our educational programs. We work very much with our teaching artists and with our classroom teachers and all of our teachers that we work with. So they are constantly coming back, making changes. So the suggestions, even with our study guides and everything, it's written and created by the people who work with us.
It just seems to me that it's so ambitious, especially with your expansion to Stratford. How do you have the energy, the resources, the time to constantly be doing this? Formidable numbers, as I've said.
Well, what I just said is that everything is a collaboration. So the ideas come from the people that we work with. Whether it's our Encores teaching team, they just wrote on their own a new study guide. Then it will be tested with the classroom teachers we work with. They'll come back to the drawing board, they'll change it, and it will constantly grow. I think it's because we believe very strongly in people working together. And again, it's that word respect, and it's that word collaboration. that's what makes us go forward.
Your own background as a dancer, as a teacher, administrator now, all this comes in. It's all part of that experience, which has made all of this possible to do. And
I would say so.
And all of your experiences come in there. Do you miss dancing?
Oh, absolutely not.
Why?
My students and my creators are the artists that I work with and the teachers that I work with and the programming that I'm creating. Again, it's all individuals' creativity. My creative bent right now is creating programs, and I absolutely love it. And bringing the right people to the table for the right program to create the right units of study is what we love. We work with the entire city of New York. We do staff development for the whole city, for all of the teachers within the city, through the Board of Education, in addition to everything else.
I'm constantly amazed when you see the casts for Encores and you see the companies, the performing companies, and how the people who are involved are working with your program. It's something that people want to do. You talked about the quality of the performances, and I think the quality of this outreach program is also manifested by what people respond to it, how they respond to it, and therefore want to participate in it. I mean, people who are very active, very well known in the theater, want to be part of these programs, and they recognize the need to get out there and to work with the kids.
And even, for example, a former member of one of the other Encores who's now living in New Jersey, what she'll do is she'll work educationally with some of the students in her church. So then she'll bring them into a dialogue and an invited dress rehearsal. Again, it's not saying thank you, the door's closed, go on. It's saying thank you, and how else and what else can you do within making the programming happen. And everybody has a place, and that place can change, and that's okay.
And you really made it happen, and what we have done is made this program happen because we've run out of time. And I thank you so much for being here and telling us about the education outreach program of the City Center. Of course, as director, you see so many things, and I really think that it's been great to have you here, and thanks again.
Thank you.
We've been talking about the education outreach program at the City Center. My guest today is Jannas Zelesky, who is the director of the program. It covers their dance program, it covers Encores, it covers soon-to-be the Stratford Company coming to City Center. It's a great program, great for New York City, great for the theater, great for the kids, and great for the future. I'm Norman Liss. The name of this program is The Way to Go. Until next time, enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.